There's an old saying goes like this: bigger's better. But that's not always true when it comes to detailing cars. In fact, there's so many small areas on a car, thin panels, tight areas. You need small pads, and extensions, and that's where Lake Country comes into play. Mike Phillips, Autogeek.com. I got with me Dave Patterson. He's the new product developer for Lake Country Pads. And Dave, I'm looking at some stuff up here that's just cooler than all get out. What do we got here?
This is a full lineup of all of the small mini pads that we offer for 1-inch and 2-inch polishers, along with our rotary extensions.
In the old days, we didn't have all this cool stuff. We'd take a little piece of cloth and do this.
Yeah.
And if you wanted
elbow
to,
grease.
That's right, a little bit of elbow grease and your fingers. And now I see quite an assortment of pads plus the extension. So let's just walk through the pads first. So what do we have here for pads? Because I see a lot of different colors, and guys get confused on the colors.
Yep. So for our basic pad line on miniature polishers, we used the Force line of foams, or the hybrid foams.
Okay.
It's a full range from heavy cutting to finish polishing, and we also offer the microfiber pads.
Yeah, I'm familiar with this in the larger pads. This is your gray pad, and it's really stiff and sharp. This will do some heavy correction in a small pad size like this.
Yeah, and surprisingly, the characteristics of foams and pads change a lot when you get into pads this small. So even though the gray foam cuts pretty aggressively, in a 1-inch and 2-inch version, if utilized on a DA polisher, like the hybrid, it finishes pretty great too.
Okay, so besides the gray, that's the most aggressive.
Yep.
And then I'm guessing this orange would be a step down,
Yep,
but still a foam cutting.
Yep, it's still foam cutting, a light cutting pad, great for most applications of compound. The gray, like I said, works very, very well for certain types of paints, but the gray outperforms the orange in climates similar to Stewart or West Palm Beach, where you get hot and humid climates. So where in areas of the world where it's hot and humid and the orange foam becomes softer, the gray foam is really kind of its own product where it will still continue to perform and cut.
Amazing that your environment can have that much impact on foam.
Yeah.
Because most people think you just grab a foam pad and start buffing.
Yeah. No.
Okay. Then we got the white, and this is traditionally in the Lake Country line, this would be the white polishing. So in between finishing, less aggressive than the cutting pads. Kind of a universal pad.
Yep.
And then black, traditionally in a lot of the Lake Country lines, this would be finishing.
Yeah, so we use that a lot on black vehicles or soft vehicles where the white pad might leave a little bit of micro marring.
Gotcha. Then red is?
Just applying your sealant or wax. So typically you can do that by hand.
Yeah.
But you can also use that if it's a really tight area where you need the extension of the neck of the polisher to get in there, or the extension.
Yeah.
And it also works great for all-in-one types products because it has a little bit larger of a cell size than the black, so it has a better cleaning ability.
Got it. And I always say machine always outperforms the human hand. So with all the tools and the backing plates we have, I know a lot of guys would actually use this to machine apply a sealant when they could just knock it out by hand. But hey, you got the machine, let the machine do the work.
Yeah.
And then I see some microfiber pads down here.
Yeah, so the microfiber pads are going to be your heavier cutting option. They work very, very well on a DA machine. For rotary type of tools, I typically would use a gray foam, but they are able to be used on a rotary as well.
And since you brought up using these small pads on a rotary, I want to point out the taper here. That's real important on a rotary, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very precise, so it helps you do all your edge work. It helps you access tight areas, whether it's the grills or a B-pillar, underneath or in between mirrors, and in your license plate area.
And also, the rotating action on the face of the pad, because of the taper, since there's no backing behind this edge, it'll tend to fan outwards versus collapse in.
Yep.
And I've used cylinder pads on rotaries, and what happens is you might have a 2-inch pad and all of a sudden it's a 1-inch pad because the foam just simply twists in and makes a really small footprint. So that taper keeps the pad surface flat to this.
Yeah, it's a sweet spot too. So not only does it taper in, but when you get into pads this small, the foam is able to be manipulated a little bit differently. So If it's a little bit too thick, or if it's not quite the right foam formulation, it tends to suck in, just like you were saying, but it also tends to twist and knot up almost like a pigtail.
Yeah, and a lot to know about foam pads.
Yeah,
It's just not just foam, is it? Okay, now over here you've got 2 rotary polishers, and then we've also got the hybrid from Rupes, the orbital here, and all these pads will work on these types of tools.
Yep. So whether you're using a small tool specific like the Flex PE8 or the Rupes hybrid, or you're converting your full-size rotary into a precision tool, they're all capable of being used on there. The rotary extension pieces come in handy because you can easily access in between mirrors. So like, let's say if you come down between a side window and a mirror. But what's cool about the extensions is they're extremely precise in terms of the threading and how they map to be completely flat and true. But you can add them together. So while we offer a 3-inch and a 6-inch, they come as a kit. You can also extend them together and get 9 inches of reach if you're doing a motorcycle or something else.
Sure, and that just enables you to get into places that you can't even get by hand and polish the paint. And there's a lot of perfectionists out there, and there's a saying, it goes like this: if it's got paint, we're gonna polish it.
Yeah.
You know, so there's guys that are like that. They wanna get everything perfect.
Yep.
So these tools will help you to get into those tight areas.
Yeah.
We'll tell you what, you know, I think we should maybe just demonstrate the value of something like this. I mean, we both have our hands and could work by hand, but I've got this car back here. Let's go over and show where you would use small pads on thinner panels.
Perfect. Mike, these little pads come in handy for so many different areas, like the front grille, the B-pillars, or even around the door handle cups underneath, where you'd typically polish by hand.
Yeah, one thing I know is it's a good practice to not buff on a raised body line or an edge. Now, take these B-pillars, this is called piano plastic. If you put up too big of a pad on there and buff on the edges, what you're gonna see is the white plastic as you grind off the black plastic. That's usually a bad sign because there's no way to recover from that. So that is a great place to match a small pad to a thin panel.
Yeah, absolutely. They also work really well on polishing the insides of your wheels or on the edges of the spokes, and they also work great for motorcycles.
Yep. Lots of areas to use small pads. Surgical buffing is what we call that.
Yep.
For more information about Lake Country's small buffing pads, go to Autogeek.com. For more videos like these and how-tos, check out our YouTube channel. You know what? I'd say hit those B-pillars there. They're not looking too good. See what you can do.
Yep.